Welcome back. If you write test automation, you know the worst feeling, running a 200-step test only to have it crash on step 3. A test script is completely useless if it can't reliably find the web elements it needs to click, type into, or read. Over the next few minutes, we are going to build a bulletproof 4-part web automation script for a sample web form. By the end, you'll know how to target elements so your tests run smoothly every time. To follow along, you only need 2 things open side by side on your screen: your preferred code editor and a web browser with the Developer Tools panel open. To ensure our script works, we need a system, the Element Locator Priority Hierarchy. It's a 4-layer framework professionals use to prevent test failures. The top tier is ID, followed by name, CSS, and finally XPath at the bottom. Stick to this order and you stop relying on fragile code that breaks when developers update the website. You build tests that last. Let's start light at the top of the pyramid. Targeting an element by its ID is the absolute gold standard for web automation. This split screen shows a simplified DOM structure on the left and a code editor on the right. Inspect the Submit button on the left. Highlighting this row reveals the ID attribute, Submit button. In our code editor, we write our first command, by.id.submit button. There is a trap here, though. You have to watch out for dynamic IDs. Some modern web frameworks generate completely new IDs every single time the page loads. You can spot a dynamic ID by looking at the text string. If you see randomized alphanumeric characters tacked onto the end of an element name, like the numbers spinning right here, that ID is unstable. It will break your test on the very next run. Assuming the ID isn't dynamic, static IDs must always be your first choice. They provide the fastest, most computationally stable anchors on any web page. Often, you'll inspect an element and find that a static ID simply isn't there. When that happens, you move down to the second tier of the pyramid, the name attribute. Looking at the DOM again, inspect the username text field. Scanning the attributes, there is no ID tag. Instead, we find the name attribute right here, labeled as username. We take that string to our IDE and add our second line, by.name username. Name attributes are the standard for web forms. Backend developers rely on these exact names to map data submissions to their databases, which means they rarely change them. This makes them highly stable targets for your automation scripts. Sometimes you need to interact with generic styled buttons or banners that lack both an ID and a name. That brings us to the third tier, CSS Selectors. Inspecting a secondary button element, it doesn't have an ID or name, but it has a CSS class. Class equals btn secondary. To turn this into a CSS selector, we map it directly. We start with a dot, the standard CSS symbol for a class, then pass in .btn-secondary. CSS selectors give you an incredible amount of flexibility. When semantic identifiers like ID or name are entirely absent, you can still hook your automation into the underlying styling architecture of the site. Finally, we reach the bottom tier of the pyramid, XPath. You should reserve this method strictly for deeply nested or highly custom data elements. A common beginner mistake is right-clicking an element in Developer Tools and selecting Copy Absolute XPath. This generates a massive, cluttered text string. The moment a developer adds a single new element to the page, the structural path breaks and your test fails. The solution is writing a custom relative XPath. You use a precise formula, 2 forward slashes, the element tag, and then the specific attribute and value inside brackets to find exact elements regardless of where they live on the page. Go ahead and add this custom XPath to the final line of your automation script. XPath is an incredibly powerful tool for complex DOM traversal, but because any minor structural change to the web page's layout can sever your connection to the element, it remains a fragile last resort. Now that we have all 4 lines written properly, go ahead and execute your script. The script connects immediately. The browser window fills itself out with 0 interruptions, and you get a clean green test passed checkmark. This stability is the direct result of following the hierarchy. We prioritized the ID, utilized the name attribute when needed, leveraged CSS for styled elements, and resorted to custom relative XPath only for the complex cases. Check the description below to download our free Locator Priority Checklist template to use on your next project. And while you're down there, leave a comment telling us about the most frustrating element location issue you've ever dealt with. By applying this strict hierarchy to your daily workflow, You stop guessing at element locations. Instead, you start engineering highly reliable, robust automation systems that save you valuable time and actually catch bugs.